Yeah, the biggest mistake a person could make on a fixed income or even a semi-fixed income is to follow the leader, which is exactly what the way that this video making is designed, is to say, look, you can come in this spot and you think that sounds great, and you can live on this amount. You see them all over the internet, retire in, name a country on $960, and of course, how many other people are watching the video, and you're telling them to go specifically to this spot, and even if only 1% of the people that watch the video show up, it doesn't even really take all that many people to show up and all of a sudden totally change the pricing structure and everything and all the prices. So again, the smartest thing a person can do is acknowledge and realize that this is happening and have a plan to counteract it.
Look at that, you can see the sheen on it. It's shiny, it's noisy when you touch it. Wow.
We've got some honest to goodness Italian food going on here. Ooh, sneak peek. Okay, that's all you get.
Where's the silver line?
Right there. I want to take your laptop into a shop. I know about a shop. Thank you.
4? 5?
Yeah. It looks juicy.
It's smaller. Juicy. Come this side.
I'll
go get Sammy.
Looks like you've been buying 600-gram cheeses.
That one looks great. I'll take
so there's that and that, in case it didn't look like enough food.
You're sitting there putting a bunch of oil on your lasagna.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about running out of money in you retire early. It does happen. Actually, there's a lot of fear around running out of money, I think, and especially in circles where they are in what is understood to be a fixed income situation. Now, there's fixed income, like for example, you get a retirement check and it's $13.86 every single month. Okay, that's fixed income. But there's also another kind of fixed income where it's not necessarily a retirement check. It's from a variety of different sources that perhaps fluctuate maybe 10 or 20% per month, so that maybe some months you get $12.86 one month, but the next month you get $14.86 or $15.86, but it fluctuates back and forth between those levels. The bottom line is that you're wanting to make ends meet within a certain range, a prescribed range, financial range. My experience with this is that I've been running into fixed income people all my life. For example, I had a telephone sales job when I was a teenager, and I recall up in the Northwest, in Oregon actually, retirees, old timers, telling me their sad stories, and I thought to myself, wow, I mean, these people, the way when you heard their stories, which I'll tell you in a second, it seemed to me that they were really upset because they were telling a total stranger over the phone. You're sitting there telling a total stranger over the phone because you don't have anybody else to tell, or I don't know. They're just really upset about it. But the story was that it goes something like this. I've been a good citizen all my life. I've worked all my life, paid all my taxes. I've retired, I've purchased a home, I own my own home, I'm on a fixed income, and after a number of years, because so-and-so sold his property, in the neighborhood for an inflated amount of money, the state decides to use that number as a property valuation for everybody in the neighborhood and raise property taxes. And so they were getting priced out of their property taxes, and they were, the people that were telling me these stories, they were fearing that they were going to lose their homes in their older age and their retirement age. And it was really sad to hear these stories. I was like, really made an imprint on me in how cold the state machinery can be. It sounded totally unfair to these retirees, and people just call it inflation, but really it's a kind of taxation, and it's a kind of scenario that can put anyone at a discomfort just worrying about it. So when it relates to going, looking at a place where somebody wants to go live and let's say retire, and being abroad, there's a lot of concern nowadays. The biggest mistake a person can make nowadays, because as you know, we've been abroad 10 years, and so the biggest thing we've seen going around is the inflation that we see, because we've talked about this subject a lot in the past. And just to give an update on it in this video, we used to talk about and call it gringo inflation. Now we get a little bit of flack over that, because when you call something what it is, how do you say it in such a way and to not make it sound as if you're improperly placing some kind of blame? The facts are what they are, so we're not going to mince words or pretend or anything. The facts are what they are. When you look at the prices and what they're doing in a place like Ecuador, that is really kind of hurting on the tourism sector, which we have ideas on how they could boost the tourism. They can remove all of these medical dictatorship regulations that they have that just put people in a position of being taken advantage of by unscrupulous people within the medical establishment. But that's a totally different conversation. Let's talk about the inflation. We used to say the inflation that you're seeing here is not the actual inflation that you would typically say that you would attribute to a regular financial kind of inflation. The inflation that you saw here was directly and 100% related to the influx of newbie travelers and foreigners that, as well-meaning as they are, for one reason or another, is just that a certain amount of traffic that is built up in a specific area that causes prices to just balloon, and this is a real risk, because we've seen retirees come down to, and this is just an example because this is where we've been for 8 years, but this applies to any place. Like, for example, we did a video about a $200 brand spanking new $250 apartment that is 2 to 3 times as large as the apartments that are being pushed in a particular city in Mexico that is being very highly pumped at the moment, with lots of videos with gringo real estate people, telling other gringos in America, check this out, check this wonderful, and the prices are 3 times as high and the apartments are 3 times as small and they have no views, just to say that the inflation is created in this way. This is the way that foreigners come in and totally take over an area and promote it to other foreigners, in Western countries as seemingly a bargain, whereas to the local rates are actually 2 to 3 times as high in many cases. Not always that much, but in this particular case, definitely, and in many cases, yeah. And I know that we live in the information age, and this is happening all over the internet, and I can't stop it. There's nothing I can do to stop it. All I can do is try to inform people and warn people that this is what you're getting into when you follow the status quo videos on YouTube and you listen to those that are in the industry that are being paid to promote certain areas. I'm just saying, it's just the way the wheel turns and the wheel spins. It's just the way of the world, that if you follow the leader like this, you are at a very high risk. And I started saying that we met expats from America that came down here and literally couldn't afford it and had to leave. And many people had to leave because of the skyrocketing prices. And so what that does is it just blocks out a huge sector of the population, and then only those from the very largest of cities and most expensive of cities in America still consider it, more economical than where they're from. So this is an ongoing thing that it's a very huge risk for especially people on a fixed income and even a semi-fixed income. The smartest thing one can do about this is to get smart about this very subject and how they spend their money. So we may not be able to control, where everybody else is going, but we can control where we go. But more importantly than where we go is also how we relate to the locals. I said, and how we ourselves learn how to interact properly with locals so that we don't fall victim to this kind of price inflation. Because I've said also in other videos, it isn't necessarily, 100% it's going to happen to you if you play follow the leader. But even when you don't, for example, when we went to a small village in southern Italy, even when you're the first guy in town, if you don't interact in the proper manner, as I've said in different videos, there is definitely a prescribed way of acting and behaving and a prescribed way of not acting and behaving. And most people, 9 out of 10 people, fall in the first category because of just inexperience and lack of knowledge. And so there is something to that. If you realize that you can be the first guy in town and you're still going to get jacked on prices and things aren't going to go well for you, even if you're the first guy in town, if you're not careful about how you interact. And we go over all of these kinds of ideas, and we're very supportive in our membership group. And we have some freebies for you down below the video. Check out the freebies to help you out, if you're considering the move and getting serious about it. So yeah, the biggest mistake a person could make on a fixed income or even a semi-fixed income is to follow the leader, which is exactly what the way that this video making is designed, is to say, look, you can come in this spot and you think that sounds great, and you can live on this amount. You see them all over the internet, retire in, name a country on $960, and of course, how many other people are watching the video, and you're telling them to go specifically to this spot, and even if only 1% of the people that watch the video show up, it doesn't even really take all that many people to show up and all of a sudden totally change the pricing structure and everything and all the prices. So again, the smartest thing a person can do is acknowledge and realize that this is happening and have a plan to counteract it. And you may know that we've been abroad 10 years and have never paid more than $300 or $400 for 3 and 4 bedroom houses and apartments, furnished and unfurnished, while people all around us were paying multiples of that just throughout the years that they were coming abroad. So, and lots of people had difficulty making ends meet, even in places that were referred to as the best place to retire on a budget. Even so, you had a lot of people that had to turn back and go back home. So that there's a lot of places still right now as we speak that are very much in the limelight on the internet, and that is specifically happening. And even if you think, well, I can afford that and I have a budget, the bottom line is that there is an underlying consequence to groups of people collectively showing up, especially in very small locales, like small little beach towns or what have you, or any small locale, or even cities as big as Cuenca, if they're pumped hard enough and long enough, the same thing will happen, but even quicker and more so in small little villages, which is usually what you have in these small countries, especially when you get to the coast. The big metropolis and the big cities usually aren't right on the coast. Doesn't mean that they can't be there, but in most cases they're not. In most cases you're looking at small little villages and small little towns. So with that said, understand that this is not a dream buster. This is not a dream breaker. It's just saying, look, this is what's really happening. This is what's going to happen if you follow everybody to the same spot. I know it sounds great. The prices sound great, and usually they just don't last. And unless you're just on vacation anyway, or just going to spend a few months and it doesn't matter, well, that's fine. But if you're looking for a place to kind of spend some decent time, maybe even call a second home, these things, they make a big difference, and they do matter. So I would urge you to consider that it's time that we really do need to put our nose to the grindstone and realize that there is a situation here that we need to understand, and we need to work together to work this out, and so that we can have a happy retirement in the place that we have chosen. Thanks for watching my videos. Give it a thumbs up, give us a comment below, and let us know what other kind of content you would like to hear from us. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for coming to the channel.